Well, we have to bring you the latest news headlines. Kojo Yankson is also ready, and we'll have some great time around here. Kojo, good morning to you.
Yeah, very good morning to you. It's great to see you.
Yeah, and the interaction with Cassandra went well, definitely.
Yes, well, she certainly explained a number of important things regarding parents' preparation to take their children back to school, especially for the basic level. But there were some things that I have a feeling she's raised even more questions about. But we'll check that out a bit later.
Yeah, and that's Kojo. Where the things are hidden, you would always uncover them. But let's move on. Let's bring you the latest news headline. The police, they've arrested 3 persons in connection with the killing of 2 police officers at Kaswa Budumburam in the Central Region. One of the officers died on the spot, while the other passed away while receiving medical treatment. Witnesses say they heard an initial exchange of fire or gunfire on Wednesday at about 2 p.m., after which the officer was found lying in a pool of blood. The arrest of the 3 happened within a few hours after the incident. A statement issued by the police reads that the police in the Central Region have arrested 3 persons for killing 2 police officers who were on duty at the Budumburam police station near Kaswa, and we know the day 28th of August 2019. Now the statement continues that in response to the crime, the acting Inspector General of Police dispatched a team from the police headquarters to support the Central Regional Police Command in the investigation. Reports reaching the IGP had indicated at the time he was at a conference in Sugakope in the Volta region that the occupants of an unregistered saloon car were spotted driving recklessly around Budumburam, Kaswa, Winneba Road. When the police officers attempted to stop them, the occupants of the car opened fire on the officers, leading to their death, which has since been confirmed by medical officers at the time at the police hospital. The statement concludes that the public will be updated subsequently.
Now, the opposition National Democratic Congress has described as a ruse the suspension of the Public Procurement Authority's chief executive, Ajinim Boateng Eje, and accused government of attempting to shield appointees involved in the infamous contract for sale scandal. At a news conference at the party's headquarters on Wednesday, the party called for the immediate suspension of heads of state agencies involved and the immediate dissolution of the Public Procurement Board. Kwesi Parker Wilson has the rest of the story in this report.
According to the National Communications Officer for the party, Sami Jemfi, the NDC says it's worried about the revelation contained in the documentary, wants a full-scale investigation to fish out all other persons involved in the scandal. The party believes the suspension of Mr. J is not deterrent enough and thus demanding an immediate dismissal.
The President has resorted to his usual face-saving gimmicks by suspending the Chief Executive Officer of the PPA pending investigations by the Special Prosecutor and Straj into the matter. But it is the view of the NDC, ladies and gentlemen, that the suspension of Mr. ABJ, to all intents and purposes, is not deterrent enough. We think that the damning acts of corruption which Mr. ABJ is captured in the Donkomi documentary as engaging in, including his own admissions and confessions, should have at worst been met with an outright dismissal for other actions to follow.
The NDC says the scandal goes beyond Mr. J and Talent Discovery Limited, who are now being used as smokescreen to conceal a syndicate of organized crime. They insist other government officials are involved in the scandal.
Also, we wish to ask why the ministers and the relevant officers in charge of procurement in the Ministries of Works and Housing, roads and highways, education, special development initiative, the heads of Cocoa Board, Ghana Water Company Limited, the Bank of Ghana, etc., are still at post. Why are the ministers and the relevant officers in charge of procurement in these institutions still at post? Because we know that the procurement processes leading to the award of these 14 contracts to TDL emanated from these institutions. The NDC therefore holds the view that all ministers and state actors who in one way or the other initiated, facilitated, or participated in the award of contracts to TDL and the subsequent sale of those contracts to other companies must be suspended forthwith. The scope of investigations into this scandal must be expanded to include all these complicit MDAs and state agencies.
They argue the PPA board must be dissolved for failing to observe the provisions in the procurement law.
The suspension of the CEO of the PPA, Mr. ABAJ, is totally useless and meaningless until it is linked to the immediate dissolution of the PPA board. We say so because it was the PPA board which, despite knowing that Mr. ABAJ is a shareholder of TDL, went ahead to approve the award of as many as 14 contracts to the company under restricted tender in flagrant disregard for the public procurement law and in contravention of all acceptable principles of fairness and openness. The PPA board failed woefully in their duty to observe the provisions of the public procurement law and the rules against conflict of interest, but rather aided and abetted the corrupt activities of Mr. ABAJ and his fraudulent TDL. The complicity of the PPA board in this scandal, ladies and gentlemen, is beyond doubt and obvious even to the uninitiated.
Moving on, the United Nations is making a bold attempt at addressing Ghana's housing deficit, which currently stands at 2 million housing units. Though successive governments have over the years pledged to address this challenge, there's very little to show for all these attempts other than abandoned projects. The UN's plan is to build some 200,000 affordable housing units with all the required amenities and infrastructure, including water and roads. The cheapest of affordable housing units is, however, pegged at the Ghana cedi equivalent of some $27,000, with the payment spread also over 30 years. Latif Idris was at the launch of a project by the Vice President and has come through with the following report.
Housing has over the years been a huge challenge to many Ghanaian homes. Even the least expensive housing projects are not within the reach of the many Ghanaian urban dwellers. Today, that trend is about to change with the launch of this United Nations OPS project here at Afiaman, which is expected to be replicated in other regions across the country. The buildings will be available for purchase by those with regular income streams with the payment spread over 30 years. Under Secretary General and Executive Director of the United Nations Office for Project Service, Greg Faremo, in an interview with JoyNews, says Ghana was one of the countries selected for the initiative because of government's commitment and its compliance to UN values.
With a strong intent also from this government in developing projects that would comply with our UN values and also deliver on what is needed regarding the technical specifics, land specifics, economics. We found a way together. So it is the whole program buy-in from this government and the Kenyan government that made us select the two countries now and go forward.
Deputy Housing Minister, who was upbeat about the project, says the ministry and government will ensure the units go to those who need it.
It's not that huge, so you don't even feel it. Assuming I take a salary of about 2,000 and I know that every month I have to pay about 400,000, 400 Ghana cedis, 500. My dear, I think it's manageable. It's better than paying upfront. So the mortgage system for me is the best for the ordinary Ghanaian, and we're going to make sure that it goes to the ordinary person. You see, sometimes if a government initiates a policy like that, and at the point the government is not able to roll out, that is why we have SNIT coming in, and sometimes it shoots up. And then something that should be affordable turns out not to be affordable.
Speaking at the launch of the project at Afiaman, near Amasaman in the Greater Accra region Wednesday morning, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia says the project is in line with government's commitments to reducing the housing deficit in the country.
Government has fully embraced this project and would hope the same level of enthusiasm is demonstrated by the private sector in supporting this developmental agenda. I am assured that the project will rely heavily on local contractors, resources, and labor. We look forward to the benefits of this project, the benefits this project will bring to the good people of Ghana. The project's objective is in tandem with the government's policy of providing adequate, decent, and affordable housing that is accessible and sustainable.
The Vice President also talked about how the now sound financial sector and the administration's quest to building a deep mortgage market in the country would empower Ghanaians to purchase at least a housing unit at this facility.
Single individuals or companies who do not repay significant loans from banks can actually collapse those banks. And this is why, as we talk about a mortgage system now, which is going to be provided under this UNOPS initiative, we want to make sure that in this context we strengthen the banking system and actually develop a mortgage market in Ghana which is quite deep.
But how affordable is a housing unit being sold for $27,000, which at an exchange rate of 5 cedis 30 pesos to the dollar comes to 147,000 cedis?
Now let's go to the Ashanti region next, where a hospital project initiated by the erstwhile National Democratic Congress at Kumawu in Ashanti region has been taken over by weeds. The Kumawu Traditional Council is worried that continued government neglect of the project could lead to voter apathy in the New Patriotic Party's stronghold. And Kumawu Hene Berma Safo Cheneboa Kodia II spoke at a council meeting during a courtesy call by the Deputy Trade Minister, Robert Ahumka Lindsay.
The 120-bed capacity Sechere Kumawu District Hospital project consists of a theatre, recovery unit, as well as medical, surgical, and emergency wards. Other projects in the category are cited at Fomina, also in Ashanti region, Sekondi in Western region, Abetifi in Eastern region, Dodowa in Greater Accra region, and Tempane in Upper East region. Very much Cheneboa Kodia wants decisive action by government to protect waste of public resources.
Remind the President, when I came to the Jubilee House, I raised issues about the uncompleted hospital project. He assured me he would address it. All efforts to get government to complete the hospital for my people have proven futile. All that people of Kumawu desire is a hospital. We acknowledge the presence of earth-moving machines on the road for commencement of work, but our main problem is the stalled hospital project, which has been taken over by weeds. The President cites other hospitals at functions but forgets to mention Kumawu Hospital. On 11th July, the Health Minister came here and promised work would resume 3 weeks from the day of his visit. It's been more than a month since. Nothing has happened.
By July 11th.
The Kumawu wants the NPP government to be prepared for the people's anger if it fails to heed their call.
When the president needed power, he came to this palace and begged for our votes. We have poured libation for his good intentions to become a reality. Next weekend, I will lead my elders and the people in communal labor to clear weeds around the stalled project. I want the president to know the uncompleted hospital bothers me. If by 2020 he has done nothing about it, I only have one vote, the rest for the people.
Nana Asensumensa reporting.
Well, close by, the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and the Multimedia Sanitation Enforcement Team this week forced a mass cleanup exercise for shop owners and traders whose environment were littered with refuse. Shop owners were ordered to come to clean their own streets in front of their shops. Erastus Asaridonko brings us more.
The school compound looked like a sanitary site when the team visited. One of the school's toilets has been commercialized, but there is no evidence of judicious use of the proceeds. The only one reserved for the children is in a deplorable state, as all wash bowls are broken. On the main compound and behind the toilets is a stretch and mountain of refuse created by persistent dumping by residents. This barrel is supposed to hold water for kids to wash their hands, but it has been turned into a receptacle for refuse. Churches take over the classrooms, especially during holidays, for services, but at whose benefit? One of the head teachers who was present could not offer any reason for the polluted school environment. The toilet itself is dirty. The environment is very dirty. What do you say about all this?
Take action.
But tell me, why has the place been like this? The refuse dump, everything. Why is the place like that? Tell me, why? What's the problem? The mood of an angry and frustrated chief of Abrepokuma, Bafo Osei Trafoyao II, sums it all.
County Hospital. Say free him, do better ball guhano. A free and net day and net draw. Do better ball guano. A by China, Mia Casame penny pamo or my betaha. You saw more, you'll be for Emra Panso. Timisramo, Chan will be a fable and the Gua. Will be Uncle Frank to my arm, Massanana, Yadi Jatuaba. Me a chiwa Jatuan movie. Mama says, I immediate abatement.
Some of the squatters were made to clean their mess. Environmental officer Godfred Ban says KMA will clear the mountain of waste and ensure people no longer dump in the school.
Can you imagine this? Human being. And I guess that's where we're going to wrap up the news for this morning, but most certainly not the show. Stay exactly where you are. The newspaper review comes right after these.